Ladies and gentlemen, Convocation is now in session. As Chancellor, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our 295th Convocation. And to all our graduates, first let me say congratulations. You have worked hard to achieve this, and graduation represents a major milestone in your lives. At Convocation, we assemble as a university community, the University of Western Ontario community, to celebrate and recognize your achievements at Western and to wish you every success for the future. However, your learning days are far from over. Learning is a lifelong process, and Western has not provided you with the answers to all questions. At most, we hope that what stays with you is a way of thinking objectively and approaching problems with an open mind and a healthy respect for new ideas, all tempered with compassion and empathy for the human condition. You are forever a cherished member of this great university, founded more than a century ago, and we welcome you to the Western family. Again, congratulations to each and every one of you. Now today we also confer an honorary degree upon Jane Bigelow, in acknowledgement of her contributions to the London community. As London's first female mayor, her advocacy on behalf of women's rights and effectiveness as an environmental leader. I'm delighted to welcome her to this convocation, and to present our distinguished candidate, I now call on Professor Carol Lagos, Faculty of Social Sciences.
Jane Elizabeth Bigelow. In its 170-year history, London, Ontario has had only 3 women mayors. The first was Jane Bigelow, an unusual mayor, not only because she is a woman, but because of her advocacy of social justice and change, feminism, and living gently on the earth. In a town where an old boys network of developers and businessmen have long had keys to City Hall, the presence of Jane Bigelow in the mayor's office was a breath of fresh air, though some may have felt that a whirlwind had arrived. As mayor from 1972 through 1978, Jane Bigelow made positive changes that left a lasting legacy. She made the city planning process more democratic and government administration more efficient, and improved social services. As London's leader, she championed neighborhoods, the inner city, and the protection of green spaces. She supported daycare, recycling, libraries, and the arts against strong opposition. Under her leadership, London first achieved the AAA credit rating it continues to take pride in. Jane worked tirelessly to raise women's representation in government beyond the token level and to secure fair treatment for women. She even began the desegregation of the London Club, a male bastion where deals that shaped London's development were made. Jane Bigelow animated a conservative City Hall by her personal example. As mayor, she rode her bike to work at a time when this was viewed as eccentric. Jane Bigelow began her career as a high school teacher. After settling in London with her family, she was inspired to enter municipal politics by Charlotte Whitton of Ottawa, the first woman mayor of a large Canadian city. Before and after her term as mayor, Jane was elected twice to London's Board of Control. She sat on an array of boards and commissions, including Western's Board of Governors and the boards of Theatre London, the Library, and the London Symphony. She helped to establish Women's Community House for survivors of women abuse. At the same time, her 2 children were growing up. Her daughter Anne is now a faculty member at Western, and her son David is a university professor in British Columbia. After her political career ended, Jane worked on the federal government's job development program, assisting youth, women, and immigrants. In retirement, Jane volunteers at the Sexual Assault Center, assists immigrants settling in London, and teaches sewing at a downtown refuge for women. She co-founded the London Women's History Project, which is collecting oral histories from women who improved the lives of London women. Jane exercises to stay fit, rides her bicycle everywhere, and reads voraciously. For those of us who are retired or contemplate that happy existence, Jane is a role model for being far ahead of your time when you're over 80. And for those of us who are a long way from retirement, Jane shows the way to your future, a world where the environment matters and giving to your community is a path to a fulfilling life. To graduates, Jane is a role model whose life of service can inspire you to contribute to your community in your own way. To women, Jane shows what can be accomplished in the face of great odds if we are conscious of injustice and willing to work for change. In the words of her daughter Anne, Jane was born a feminist. She was always aware that things weren't fair, that something was wrong that had to be fixed. It is fitting that Jane Bigelow should be awarded an honorary degree by Western, which offers Canada's only graduate degree dedicated to local government. Her career gives our students an inspiring example of an ethic of service to local communities. Her leadership as mayor demonstrates that a local government can truly be the government closest to the people. Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor and in the name of the Senate, I ask you to confer the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, upon Jane Elizabeth Bigelow.
By virtue of the authority vested in me, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. Congratulations, Dr. Bigelow. Well done. A copy of your degree and the citation. Something to put on your wall. Congratulations. On behalf of all assembled here today, I should now like to invite our newest alumna, Dr. Jane Bigelow, to address Convocation.
Chancellor Thompson, President Chapman, distinguished faculty, the graduates, your family, and your friends. First, I'd like to congratulate the young women and men who are here today because of their academic achievements. And congratulations also to your proud parents and friends who have supported you along the way. And I do want to say a special thank you to the Senate and the University of Western Ontario for this very special honor which you have given me. It is a great pleasure for me to be here and to share in these celebrations with all of you. Graduates, as today you graduate, some of you will be thinking of the future you have planned for yourself, and others, I suspect, may not have the vaguest idea what they will be doing with their lives. In either case, I think you will find a certain commonality. All of you will discover that in your futures there will be opportunities available to you that will be completely unexpected. And I see those unexpected opportunities as the adventures in life. And I hope that your unexpected opportunities will be as interesting and challenging as I have found mine to be. 60 years ago, I was a young woman sitting as you are today, waiting to receive my degree in physical and health education. I can only remember feeling a vague sense of excitement about my future and the limited opportunities that were available. I expected my future to include teaching, marriage, and children. That's what young women were expected to do. Teaching was considered the career for women in 1950, but only because it meant that you had something to fall back on in the worst possible of all scenarios. You didn't get married. Oops, wrong. Before enrolling at the university, I had come up with the idea that I might be interested in studying law. "Oh no, Jane," was my father's reply. "Don't be silly. Women who are lawyers never get married." And in those days, that was that. By the time my daughter, whom I think some of you know, was considering university, she was having difficulty with the range of career choices available to her. And I remember during discussing the options with her and suggested, because she was a whiz in mathematics, that accounting would be a good fit. Now her response might surprise at least some of you. "Oh, Mother, not accounting. Accountants are so boring." What had happened? In just one generation, there was a change from just a few career choices for young women entering university to unlimited career choices. And I have to say that this was just one change among many others, changes that were occurring in our society and other societies around the world. And I can tell you that once these changes had begun, they were unstoppable and had an effect on all aspects of life as we knew it. I think historically we refer to this time as the 60s, although it lasted much longer than that. Now, it was during these changes that I arrived in London with my family, and I had by that time developed two interests which would unexpectedly open up opportunities for me. I became an active member in party politics, specifically the NDP. And because of my interest in the history of cities, I enrolled in a graduate course at the University of Western Ontario called Urban Studies. Both of these interests influenced me as I became a community activist. And that started when our downtown neighborhood was under threat. And it was under threat of losing the history and diversity of century-old buildings. And it was leading to their replacement by indiscriminate commercial and high-rise development. Neighbor-to-neighbor discussions led to organizing a community association. Now, that's a common form of organization today, but then community associations were a new and developing concept. Our community association for Central London was formed to challenge what we perceived to be the interests and the private practices at City Hall. Now, community organizing was demanding volunteer work, but as I remember, the work was as much fun as it was challenging. What our association wanted to know was how the decisions were actually made at City Hall and what were the points of access. And to accomplish this, we had to become regulars at city committee meetings and council meetings. It was essential to know of the new developments that would affect our neighborhood. And I remember how all-consuming that activity became. One afternoon, I was driving home from Toronto to go to a planning board meeting at City Hall. My car broke down on the 401 near Woodstock. I left my car by the side of the road after I had locked it and hitchhiked back to London. I couldn't afford to miss a thing. All of this activity, of course, was making me familiar with important civic issues and giving me ideas about the possibilities available for changing how the city worked. It also meant that after watching the politicians at work, I realized there's no great mystique involved here. And then I found myself thinking, I could do that. Here was an opportunity I had never expected. And since there was a municipal election on the horizon, I decided to seek a position as a controller. Although considered a dark horse on election night, I did win as one of 4 controllers on a council of 19, 18 men and 1 woman. I had absolutely no idea what the future would hold, although I did know what I wanted, and that was to change how City Hall worked and to bring in a consultative planning process and an openness in decision making. Now, my first test came at a Board of Control meeting, which was not to be open to the public. The administration was recommending that the city sell the popular Deutsch Park. And they wanted to sell it to St. Joseph's Hospital so that they could build a parking garage there. There had been absolutely no neighborhood consultation, and I thought maybe that recommendations to sell city parks should be discussed in public. Well, the proposed sale was finally discussed in public, but now there was no need for consultation because there was so much public rejection, there could be no sale. The city still has Deutsch Park, St. Joseph's has its parking garage, and the city has a policy to protect dedicated parks from being sold. On the top of my agenda was the need to start work with the Social Services Department to humanize their policies and procedures. I had been in discussion with some of the community social workers so that we could develop a political strategy which could now be put in place. This became a way of working for me, which was to identify concerns with the community and, helped by their knowledge of the issue, work with them to develop a political strategy for change. I had a more personal interest to encourage the hiring of women in administrative positions, and also I made an effort to support women who came to discuss with me their interest in electoral politics. Now, after 2 years, there was another election, and I had another unexpected opportunity, and that was to seek the office of mayor. The newly elected mayor had to resign for health reasons. The position of mayor by law had to be by the election of other council members. Although this had never been one of my ambitions, I couldn't resist the opportunity and worked, as several other members on council did, to be elected. I was elected mayor, and another of life's adventures did begin. Chairing council meetings was the public aspect of the position, not always easy to do, but there was much more. It was important to keep in touch with many local communities and to remain connected and be aware of their issues. I also thought that everyone should have access to the mayor's office and made sure that my door was left open on Thursday afternoon for anyone to drop in with their problems and concerns. No appointments necessary. I also found the position of mayor gave me the opportunity to work on broader urban issues such as the environment and to evaluate what ideas were under discussion, such as bicycle paths, that could be attempted in London. The everyday work was analyzing budgets and learning finer points of financial management. It was difficult at first, but I knew that the more I could learn, the more realistic I might be with the changes I wanted to propose. The not so everyday was going to New York City to visit the financial rating agencies to obtain a AAA rating for the city. Human resources was the responsibility of the staff, but it didn't mean that you had to be unaware of the changes that were necessary. So as a member of the police commission, I took the opportunity and made a recommendation to propose the hiring of women as police officers. Perhaps you've noticed that there are 2 sides to this position, this mayoralty position. There was the practical everyday side and the political. And I thought that if I'd been a graduate of management and organizational studies at the University of Western Ontario, it would have made it much easier. I don't know of any courses that would help you learn the political side of the position. After leaving City Council, I went back to working in the community and becoming directly involved in what is now referred to as the feminist revolution, Now, this revolution was one of many revolutions which came out of the 60s, but it brought women together, women who were outside society's institutional structures, women who never thought that they could change anything. When they came together, there were discussions and then strategizing on how they could make changes to the status of women in society. And I should note here that this status hadn't changed much in the past 100 years. Very briefly, that describes the process that women used, and it was the kind of activity that was being carried out during the revolution. But as we know, all revolutions are about power, and it was the same with the feminist revolution. And the power that they were challenging was the power of the patriarchy. And I'm going to clarify that and give you a few everyday example experiences that women had at that time, just to help you understand. Women needed either their father or their husband's signature to open a bank account or get a credit card. There were quotas for women, limiting their entrance into Canada's medical schools. Employment ads in the newspapers were segregated according to gender, jobs for men and jobs for women. And newspapers did not allow married women to use their own name unless, of course, they had done something that was really important. During the constitutional debates, women had to fight to have a specific clause put in the Canadian Constitution to ensure they would have equal rights. And that is now Clause 28. This right is still not available to women in the United States. Since the 60s, this is a revolution that continues to open up many new and unexpected opportunities for both men and women. And it has done that by freeing both from the restriction of gender stereotypes. So as I began today, I talked about your future and the likelihood of unexpected opportunities, and then I shared some of mine with you. At this time, I really can only wish you that all your opportunities, whether expected or not, are as challenging as I have found mine to be. Then your life can truly be an adventure. Congratulations once again, graduates who are here today, and I wish you all the very best that life can offer.
Thank you, Jane, for your thoughtful and inspiring address to our graduates. You have been a trailblazer for women and social advocates for many, many years. It is heartening to know about the many things you have also been able to accomplish since your retirement from politics and active life, if you will. Women in London are better served today because of the causes you have championed. And as London's first female mayor, you have inspired generations of young women to seek political office and make their presence known in government. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me once again in congratulating our newest Honorary Doctor of Laws, Dr. Jane Bigelow. Will the candidates for degrees please stand? Mr. Chancellor, I'm very much honored to present to you the candidates who have successfully completed their academic programs at Western. I ask you to admit them to the degrees and diplomas for which they have been recommended by the Senate of our university.
Under the authority vested in me by the Senate, you will be admitted to the degrees and diplomas as shall be announced by the public orators.
Thank you, Mr. Chancellor. Will the candidates please be seated now? Mr. Chancellor, graduating students, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Convocation is the single most important time of celebration in the life of the University of Western Ontario. Today we honor those graduating students who, through determination, hard work, and intelligence have met the demanding standards of a Western degree. Today is also a proud day for all of us associated with Western, including our Board of Governors and Senate, our faculty, our staff, and our many friends in the community. It is wonderful to see so many members of our community of learning who have taken the time to join us and celebrate this important day in the lives of our graduates and the life of the university. Today, those of you crossing the stage join a special group known as Alumni Western that numbers more than 260,000 people living in 150 different countries around the world. Mr. Jim Etherington is here representing the Alumni Association, and I'll ask him to stand and be recognized. Western's Board of Governors is charged with responsibility for the overall governance of this institution. Today we have with us Ms. Irene Birrell, representing the Board of Governors. I'd ask her to stand and be recognized. I would also like to acknowledge and thank the parents, spouses, children, relatives, and friends of our graduates who are here today. This celebration would not have been possible without your loving support. So on behalf of this year's graduating class, please accept our sincere thanks for the role you have played in the journey that led to today. Now let me congratulate once again the remarkable women and men who graduate today with Western degrees. Today, you become partners in the outstanding academic achievements of Western. My warmest wishes to each and every one of you. Now we'll proceed towards the awarding of degrees. Before we proceed, I have two special requests for those of you in the audience. First, please withhold your applause for the graduates crossing the platform until each group of graduates has received degrees. This will ensure that every graduate receives their full courtesy throughout this important ceremony. And you'll receive cue from our auditors when to join us in applauding our graduates. Second, we know that photographs are an important memory of this occasion for our graduates and their family and friends. To ensure that you in the audience have the best opportunity to get good pictures, I ask you to do the following. On your special graduate is approximately 50 to 60 names in the program from crossing the stage. Please proceed to the area along the wall to my right, and the ushers will guide you forward somewhere in this area in order that you may capture your moments on film and digital devices. And we also request that once you have done that, please return to your seats so that the next person in the line can capture the wonderful picture. I now call on the public auditors to introduce the candidates for degrees.
Mr. Chancellor, the following are candidates from the Faculty of Social Science for the degree Bachelor or Baccalaureate of Management and Organizational Studies Honors Program. Hamza Al-Safar, Sumita Banerjee, Ian Bell. Harpreet Bhullar, David Brown, Jillian Margaret May Bruce. Carrie Bullock, Kevin Chan, Yun Xuan Melody Chi. Olivia Louise Schenkmaus View, Philip Taylor Aves Koulis, Jinglong Duan. Andrew Fava, Winston Guo, gold medalist, Rui Han. Alex Kai Bong Ho, Nina Kant, Batul Kilji. Raphael Myung Sung Kim, Jeannie Hoi Ying Kwang, Wilton Wing Chun Yung. Chantel Sarah Levy, Yu Lin Lee, Yu Wei Liu. Stephen McKay, Brandon McCarroll, gold medalist, Daniel Mills. Christine Nguyen, Aileen O'Doherty, Annie Pan. Kristen Reed, Neha Saini, Raymond Kwan Ho To. Adam Van Lith, gold medalist, Melanie Vokey, gold medalist, Emily Wagan. Xiao Feng Wang, Xin Wang, Lena Wang Fang. Catherine Ward, Pan Pan Yim, Shen Shen Shang. Quan Shu Sahar Zimo. Mr. Chancellor, the following are candidates for the degree Bachelor or Baccalaureate of Management and Organizational Studies: Hasib Abdul, Dale Abrams, Laura Adamchuk. Connor Allen, Jordan Anderson, Andrew Ashworth. Joshua Azan, Tyler Bain, Ali Basahi. Devin Bauman, Katrina Bennett, Christopher Bento. Vashish Bhatia, Kiao Kiao Lin Gold Medalist, Jessica Boland. Riley Brecken, Caitlin Briscoe, Thomas Bristow. Colin Graham Brown, Amanda Sherry Bookbinder, Hong Bui. Mustafa Bukhari, Diane Burns, Carlos Cabrero. Alice Ching Tsai, Samantha Campbell, Amy Tsao. Laura Carvalho, Alvin Fukwing Chan, King Yin Carey Chan. Wing Lun Chan, Narissa Chatur, Johnson Chen. Chen, Andrea Lauren Cheng, Hui Ying Rainbow Chung. Simon Chow, Carmen Chung, Anthony Chiskowski. Ryan Clark, Stephanie Clayton, Philip Michael Collins. Cassandra Cook, Eric Corrado, Laura Coward. William Blair Cox, Patrick Daly, Laura Davis. Stephen Davison, Key DeBrown Copps, Matthew DeMarchi. Georgina Devaris, Alexander Deminick, Caitlin Doughty. Dylan Jorg Nash Ebelt, Megan Enser, Adam Stephen Farmer. Kelly Faulds, Leslie Field, Jason Fogg. Ian Fu, Matthew Forstick, Megan Forward. Yuting Fu, Anthony Gallo, Malwal Lazarus Garang. Hannah Garner, Hannon Jendi, Taylor Joffrey. Leila Gadimi, Andrew Gibson, Lisa Gillies. Courtney Kyla Gerard, David Goldberg, Marshall Goldfarb.
Jared Alexander Green, Munjat Gar Awal, Daniel Agrico. Griffin, Kathleen Gretzner, Jacqueline Guazon, Alina Hack, Daniel Han, Megan Hardy, Hillary Hatt, Greg Hayes, Matthew Hayes, Ying He, Liam Helt, Song Bei Hio, Jacqueline Hearn, Christopher Hurte, Amantha Ho, David Stephen Holman, Gregory Honor, Li Fang Sao, Judy Yaling Hu, Shi Ting Huang, Jordan Hubers, Nicholas Hung, Thomas Ironstone, Igor Ivanich, Sorab Izad Pana, Tarera Jamani, Justin Bryce Jimo, Li Ping Jin, Sylvia Jin, Millie Judge, G, Ji Ho Kang, Ali Kazmi, Peter Kelly, Nolan Kiley, Jacqueline Cram, Ilona Kampula, Paul Lagosniak, Imran Lalani, Ho Wang Lam, or going down. William Russell Allen Laporte, Eric Lau, Michael Chung Feng Lau, Ricardo Charles Lee, Xing Yan Lee, Tony Shihan Lee, Andrew Leon, Fiona Kai Lee, Ying Lee. Yunan Lee, Ying Liao, Stephanie Leggetti. Bingji Louis, Allison Lohi, Michelle Lockey. Michael Laku, Wai Tan Ma, Connor Macaulay.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join with me in acknowledging the academic achievement of these recently graduated students.
Shannon McDonald, Michael Glenn A. McPherson, Muhammad, Rachel Mars, Shane Martz, James Kantaro Mashashita. Megan. Mark MacArthur, David McClenahan, Megan McComb. Emily McLennan, Anna McKay, James McKenna. McQuaid. Sean McQuaid, Cameron McQuaid, Aaron Meow. Jordan Miller, Joseph Miniachi, Rashad Mishil. David Molson, Tara Moyle, Mark Thomas Nano. Christopher Andrew Ing, Gregory King Lam Ing, Pak Hey Eric Ing. Tanner Niven. Vu Nguyen, Tanner Niven, Alicia Nowak. Kelsey Nutt, Jason Aubergan, Andrea Ovenden, Sunil Pabari, Michael Pache, Deng Pan. Thank you. Nicholas Panku, Parth Narupesh Patel, Adam Pearson. Brandon Peaster, Sean Peterson, Jesse Milan Phipps Williams, Heather Potter, Sarah Primo, Lan Lan Q, Taylor Rashat, Alyssa Riddell, Kelsey Rodericks, Jordan Rosselli, Michelle Rossi, Alex Rutzi, Neville Sadri, Matthew Salvatore, David Schaefer, Haley Schultz, Oliver Legion Chow, Yaying Shen, Elliot Shields, Brian Short, Scott Stephen Simon, Kake Gabriel Sin, Mira Singh, Tenshui Rutendo Sithol, as in not bigger, Blake Slater, Jenna Small, Jason Smaller,
Emma Solver, Lorraine Sopico, Kim Soy. Tyler St. John, Aaron Stein, Jay Stewart. Nicole Stephanie Struthers, Michael Douglas Switzer, Luke Elias Takuchi. Aurora Hei Tan, Chenjin Tang, Juan Carlos Teshima. Bevy E. Thomas, Danielle Thompson, Richard Ting. Diana Treeman, Herman C., Khalid Ulomi. Sharia Upal, Jonathan Urbanski, Paul Van Lith. Brendan Vanderster, Michelle Van Hunen, Josh Varnickel. Courtney Wade, Kenson K. Waugh, Alexander Walker. David James Walkington, Ryan Wallace, Xiyan Wang. Li Wang, Wan Ling Wang, Yifei Wang. Jason Warden, Sarah Warris, Kathleen Waters, gold medalist. William Wedlock, Lena Bethley Wichenko, Jose Wilson. Patrick Dean Wilson, Alex Chantlong Wong, Ching Yian Wong. Florence Wong, Lauren Wong, Trevor Wood. Lily Wu, Sean Wu, Z. Michelle Shaw. Wenjen Yang, Yung Chao Yang, Dong Yao. Brianna Yates, Ying Zhu, Darren Yan. Hao Zhan Ye, Jason Young, Ryan Douglas Young. Carmen Yun, Justin Yun, Manuel Alejandro Zelaya. Han Yi Zhang, Wen Wen Zhang, Yi Zhao. Yan Zhen, Jin Yu Zhao, Min Yi Zhou. Mr. Chancellor, the following are candidates for the degree Bachelor or Baccalaureate of Arts. Laura Boyson, Patrick Brammer, Justin Charbonneau. Louise Choi, Donald J. Carrie Patricia Crusay. Rob Day, Adam Diamond, Ryan Gall. David Lindsay Gray, Tara Hess, Donald Maxwell Johnson. Evan Johnson, Katerina Jugovic, Lisa Kenny. Anjum Khan, Kareem Kawaja, Mitchell Kip. Jody Dara Clayman, Victoria Kazijek, Stephanie Law. Anne Noella Lehman, Linda Ellen Lightfoot, Michelle Mantle. Norman Jr. Mix, Vineet James Niogi, Linda Ellen Pletch. Stuart Powell, Thomas Thompson Price, Erin Natasha Rouse. Zhongji Shen, Jenny Snyder, Nancy Elizabeth Southern. Jody Marie Stephenson, John Edward Spakowski, gold medalist, Richard Andrew Tebrinka. Matthias von Galen, Natalie Wakabayashi, James Waring. Catherine Mary Warner, Chad Wise, Stephen James Wood. Laura May Christine Zakel, Alexandra Zeifman. Mr. Chancellor, the following is a candidate for the Diploma in Accounting. Edward Choi.
Thanks, Tim. In the name of the Senate, I grant to the Registrar the authority to confer degrees and diplomas to those candidates whose names appear in the official program, but who are not present today. At this time, I invite Mr. Jim Etherington, past president of our Alumni Association, to say a few words.
Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of the Board of Directors and the members, the staff, and the many volunteers around the world who are part of the organization of Alumni Western, we welcome you, we congratulate you, and by the way, we urge you to take advantage of the many opportunities for services and programs which are designed exclusively for alumni of the university. And I also remind you of the invitation to the reception, which is held in your honor for you and your friends and family, in a tent just outside where you'll be taking back your regalia. No shooters today, but we do have lemonade and some cookies. Finally, a word of recommendation. Have a great life.
Before closing convocation, I wish to express my appreciation to all who have contributed to the success of the day. And in particular, and on your behalf as well, I want to thank the University of Western Ontario Convocation Brass for their magnificent performance and their director, Professor James Mackay. May I request that the audience remain at their seats while the academic procession leaves the hall. Convocation is now adjourned.